My name is Jackie Hildering, and I'll be speaking to you in my role with the Marine Education and Research Society about reducing disturbance to British Columbia's marine mammals. A reality is that we share the oceans with marine mammals and that they will be disturbed, but there's a great deal that we can do to reduce the disturbance. When there is disturbance of marine mammals, it is usually not because of malicious intent. A great deal can be done to reduce marine mammal disturbance through education. But regulation is also required, enforcement of the regulations, and also reporting is essential so that enforcement can take place and there can be a better sense of how often disturbance is happening. The impacts of disturbance of marine mammals are that they end up having physical damage like this and can even die. The three animals, the killer whale, the gray whale, and the humpback, these are survivors. And you can imagine it's not often that you actually get to see that an animal has died from having been hit by a boat through the impacts of disturbance, because most often the dead marine mammal is going to sink to the ocean bottom. So it's very difficult to know how often this is actually happening. Acoustic disturbance is also a concern. Noise can make it difficult for marine mammals to communicate, to pick up on echolocation for the toothed whales, and also that they can't hear their prey or their predators. And very difficult to measure is the stress impacts of the noise and presence of vessels. Habituation is also a concern. The misguided feeding or swimming with marine mammals can have long-term impacts because it makes the marine mammals less wary, where they're not exhibiting wild behaviors. It puts them at risk. Also, it can be a risk for humans in the case of habituating seals and sea lions. What also has to be considered is the cumulative effects of disturbance. By sea lions, for example, again and again being disrupted, or resting lines of killer whales being disrupted, there are cumulative effects where they cannot carry out their life functions, such as resting, feeding, and nursing. There are regulations under which people can be charged for disturbing marine mammals. If they are a marine mammal that's protected under Canada's Species and Risk Act, that offers protection. But the main legislation is Section 7 of the Fisheries Act, the Marine Mammal Regulations, which specify that there should not be disturbance of a marine mammal. However, disturbance is not defined. There are amendments that would vastly improve the teeth that these regulations give, because they would allow for better prevention and understanding of the threats. By actually specifying what constitutes disturbance, the amendments specify how far away boats and aircraft should stay, and it also makes the requirements that it must be reported if there are interactions like entanglements and collisions with marine mammals. The Be Whale-Wise guidelines are very detailed in how to have the best practices to reduce disturbance to marine mammals. To summarize them, go slow in the presence of marine mammals. It is to remain 100 meters away from them and also not to get in their path. With the fortunate return of humpbacks from the brink of extinction to British Columbia's coast, it's needed that there is an additional layer of guidelines to avoid collision. And this is not, of course, just about the safety of the whales, but also for boaters. Humpbacks are big. They can surface very unpredictably. They do not have biosonar to sense their surroundings in the way that toothed whales do. They really need their space. The guidelines, the additional guidelines, are specified on the Marine Education and Research page at See a Blow, Go Slow. Essential to be looking for the blows of the whales, and if you see them, to slow down, to be wary that they could surface at any time. So who are you going to call if you witness disturbance of a marine mammal? It's 1-800-465-4336. This is the Marine Mammal Incident Reporting Line. If you don't have access to cell service, you can then call the Coast Guard on VHF Channel 16. What you would relay is location, species, the boat name. You would also have the time, and you would get video of the incident if you could at all. It's incredibly important to report if you witness disturbance, because this allows a much better understanding of how often incidents of disturbance are happening. It increases the potential of enforcement happening for these incidents and reducing the risks to marine mammals. It can empower strengthened regulation to protect marine mammals, and it can also ensure that there's resources available for greater education. Thank you.